Shalom, shalom, Yashiella. This is No Saint Left Behind once again, coming at you with another lesson. And today, the lesson, I'm going to go ahead and continue Deuteronomy 28, who are the real Hebrew Israelites? Who are the Hebrew Israelites? And end this lesson out today. So first, I just want to start out with saying, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakar Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well. Shalom to the Akims out there that's been faithful to the Most High to the best of their ability. Shalom. All right, we're gonna get on back into this word, and we ended off at 55, but I'm gonna back up about 2 verses. This is Deuteronomy 28. We ended at 55. I'm gonna back up to probably about 50, probably about 53, because most of this goes together. So I'm gonna start off at 53, and we're gonna go ahead and start from now. Deuteronomy 28, verse 53. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which Yahweh thy power had given thee in the siege, and in the straitness wherewith thy enemies shall distress thee. So we went over this. It was talking about when we was 70 AD, when the Romans ran us out of our land of Israel, and starved us out, and with some left in the land, they starved us out. They burnt the city down. We end up having to eat our children. All right, in verse 54, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. And we went over talking about how the Most High made the curse that our eyes should be evil against our brother, which that's why the northern and southern kingdom, the northern kingdom is the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans, and the southern kingdom is the so-called Negroes, which would be the so-called Negroes, so-called African Americans in America, the Haitians, and the Jamaicans and West Indies. That'd be your southern kingdom. And so the Most High made the southern kingdom, which is Judah, eyes evil against the northern kingdom, which is Ephraim, which is your Hispanics and Native Americans. And that's why you so-called Mexicans and so-called blacks don't get along, because the Most High made our eyes even against each other. And that's why, the men treat their women like they ain't shit, because that was a curse put upon us. And vice versa. The women treat their men like they ain't shit. And that's the part we're about to get into. And it said that we should leave our children. And so that's a part of the curse. Getting a woman pregnant and then, going on about your business, going somewhere else, getting another woman pregnant, and not taking care of that seed, that child. That's a curse that the Most High put on us, because we didn't want to rehearse these laws, statutes, commandments, and do what he said do. All right, so now we back at 50. We at 55, Deuteronomy 28, 55. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he had nothing left him in the siege, and in the straitness wherewith thy enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. So what he was saying, that we was going to eat our children, the Hebrew Israelites would eat their children because they had nothing to eat. The so-called white man, the red Hebrew Edomites, drove us out of our land, which was the Romans, which are America is Rome today. But yeah, they drove us out of our land. We had nothing to eat. So the people began to eat their children. And we went into, I think it was First King, about the 2 women that ate their children. Well, they ate one of the woman's children and they ate the other one because the other woman hid her child. So we went into that. And so this right here is still going into the same thing. Verse 56, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole on the foot of, which was, Salaki, let me start that over. Deuteronomy 28, 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground, for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her sons, and towards her son, and towards her daughter. So, but because back in those days, the ancient days, our women's foot didn't even touch the ground. That's how much praise we got. So our women's foot never touched the ground, and so we had people carrying, the Israelite woman, so-called black and Hispanic Native American woman. They sold their foot, never touched the ground. They had servants carrying them. But now that we got away from the law, statutes, commandments, and want to follow these heathens and do what we want to do, now the foot of our women is touching the ground. Now they got to do hard work. You know what I'm saying? So that was a curse, and it said that her eye was going to be, her eye should be evil towards her husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and then towards her daughter. And so that's why we got what we got going on today. That's why the women and the men can't get along today, because that's a curse. You know what I'm saying? The so-called black, Hispanic, Native American men can't get along with their women, because it's a curse that the Most High set between us, because we didn't want to rehearse these laws, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability. That's why we don't get along. That's why she always disrespecting the man, and the man always disrespecting her. All right? And then it goes on in to say, in the same verse, it goes on in to say that her eye was going to be evil also towards her son and towards her daughter. So, and we get that today. We get a lot of our women neglecting the children. They'll drop the children off with anybody. You know what I'm saying? They go to the club and get drunk and forgot where they left their child at. And I got a precept for that, but I'm going to read into, I'm going to continue to read on, then I'm going to go to my precept. Verse 57. And towards the young ones that cometh out from between her feet. Let me start that over. 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her feet upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and toward her daughter. 57. And toward her young one that cometh out from between her foot, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness wherewith thy enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. Okay, so it's talking about the woman's eye was going to be evil towards her children that comes between her foot. The child that she's burned. And so today, you can still see that today, that our women still have that curse upon them. You know what I'm saying? Our women are still treating the children like they're not shit. Most of these children are raising themselves. The streets are raising these children. You know what I'm saying? The pimp in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? The dope dealer in the neighborhood are raising these kids. You know what I'm saying? I was once, a part of that when I was growing up. And I also did the same thing to other people's children. You know what I'm saying? Just like the so-called OGs in the streets took care of me, I took care of the younger children under me. But I was still wicked, but I was trying to let them know don't do what I was doing, but I was still doing in front of them. You got to live by an example. Matter of fact, let's go to, we're going to go to limitations on that. Let's go to limitations to get this precept. To show you that it's a curse that the Most High put upon our women to treat their children like they ain't nothing. And a lot of these women do, man. They neglect their children. They have these kids for no reason. A lot of them have them just to get child support and get checks. And they just neglect the children, man. You can see it all day, man. I be in the streets every day, man. I be walking the streets, talking to people, you know what I'm saying, doing what I do for the Most High. And I just see kids out there, man, 4, 5, 6 years old. They probably stay 3, 4 blocks away from where I see them at. They by themselves. I always point a part of that statistic. I did the same thing. All right, we're on limitations 4. This is showing you that the woman's eyes should be evil towards her children as well as her man, but this is really talking about the children. Limitations 4, and I'm going to start at 3. Limitations 4 and 3. Even the sea monsters draw out the breast and give suck to the young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel, like the ostrich in the wilderness. So the Most High was saying, even the sea monsters, you know what I'm saying, the animals excuse me, the monsters, the animals that's in the seas and the oceans and the lakes, they feed their children. Look at a whale. A whale's child is always right there by himself. They give their child suck. Sharks the same way. Dolphins the same way. These sea monsters feed their children. They take care of their children. But the Most High said his women, which are you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you daughters of Zion, he said y'all like the ostrich. He said the monsters in the seas, these whales and dolphins and sharks and other animals that feed their babies in the seas, they take care of their children more than a woman with a higher IQ than them. That's what the Most High said about you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. That y'all neglect y'all children, but the monsters in the sea doesn't neglect their children. But he compared the so-called Negro, Hispanic, Native American woman with an ostrich. Now, think about an ostrich. What does an ostrich do? We're going to go more in depth with that in a minute. All right, verse 4, Lamentations 4 and 4. The tongue of the sucking child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth for thirst. So, you can see right now, our women don't even breastfeed no more. You know what I'm saying? These women don't even breastfeed their children. And all women are supposed to breastfeed. There's not one woman that's got a child that's not supposed to breastfeed that child. All women are supposed to breastfeed, but they don't. They give them Similac, whatever else they got out there. You know what I'm saying? They giving them fake milk when they're supposed to be feeding them from the breast. But the monsters in the sea, these dolphins and sharks and whales, they breastfeed their child. But our women don't even breastfeed the children, man. You got some women trying to get back to breastfeed. That's why these children come up with defects, because they got to have the breast from the woman's milk. If these women know, if your baby got any kind of sickness or illness, if you take your shirt off and let your baby body lay upon your breast, that your breast will formulate what your baby needs to get rid of that sickness to heal it. See, but the doctors is not going to let you know that, because to have a hospital is a job. I mean, that's a business. But if you take your baby and lay upon your breast, skin to skin, after 30 minutes to an hour, your breast will formulate in your breast what that child needs to be strong and healthy and to be healed. But nah, our women don't, the Bible said the Most High compared them to an ostrich. You know what an ostrich do? Is an ostrich bury his egg and leave it. Let's continue to go on. Lamentations 4 and 4. The tongue of the sucking child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth for thirst. Because these women not providing for these children. These women get their food stamps or they link cards. What they do? They sell them. They go sell them. Or they get their hair, nails, go to the club, whatever. They go sell them. And it's for the child. The young children ask bread, and no man breaketh it unto them. And see, even though the Most High is talking about the woman, he didn't leave the man out. He said the children ask for bread, and there's no man there to give it to them. You know what I'm saying? Because what? The Most High made our eyes evil against each other, as we just read in Deuteronomy, that the man was going to leave his child. Matter of fact, let me get that again. Deuteronomy 28 and 54. Let's get that one more time, because that goes good with that too as well. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. And that's why there's no men there to give them bread, because the Most High put a curse that we'll neglect our children. See, if you know anything about the Hebrew Israelite people, if you know anything about our culture, our children was our pride and joy. If you didn't have a child, you wasn't nobody in those days. And the child was all, even if the man left the woman, the child went with the man. The child never went with the woman. But these red Hebrew Edomites, so-called white men, done changed it, where the child go with the woman and not with the man. So, but yeah, our children was our pride and joy. And the Most High knew that, but I know people that want to take care of their children, but don't have the means to, and it hurts them inside, because they don't have the means to take care of their children, man. They get put in jail for child support, but they want to take care of their children, but don't have the means. All right, so let's go to Job 39 and 14. Let's go to Job 39 and 14. Let's get back to these women, man. That's a curse that's on these women. That's why these women, most of these women are so evil and wicked. You know, they don't understand it, but it's a curse upon them. That's why these women doesn't have wisdom and knowledge and understanding of this word, because the Most High put a curse on them. That's why in the Christian church, that's all you got is who? The women. The so-called black, Hispanic, Native American women. That's all that's in them churches. The men ain't there unless he trying to get some coochie. You know, if you want that box, you got to go to church with that woman. And I know. For a fact, I know. All right, let me see. Let's go to Job 39 and 14. Job 39 and 14. We're going to get back into this ostrich. Because the Most High compared the so-called black woman, Hispanic and Native American woman to an ostrich. So let's see what the Most High said about this animal he created, the ostrich. What I say? Job 39 and 14? Okay, I'm done. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go up. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go to 12. Job 39 and 12. Wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed and gather it into thy born? 13. Givest thou the goodly wings unto the parakeet, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich? All right. Verse 14. Which leaveth her eggs, talking about the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in the dust. So the Bible say that the Shalakia, man. So the Most High is saying that the ostrich digs a hole and leave her egg in the earth, in the hole, and cover it back up and let the earth and the dust warm the egg up. And if you know about most other birds, they go what? They go sit on their egg and warm their egg up. So they go take care of the egg. They take care of the egg. But the ostrich doesn't take care of her egg. Once she had that baby, she'll leave it on somebody else. And who does that? Who does that? That's the curse that the Most High put on a so-called black, Hispanic, Native American woman, to be like an ostrich. Once they had a baby, they drop it off on somebody. Then they can have a baby today, tonight they in the club, dropping it hot. Dropping it like it's hot. I mean, it's all in the word, man. It's all in the word. I'm going to go back to 14. Job 39, 14. Which leaveth her eggs in the earth and warmeth them in the dust. So she don't take care of her own eggs. She let the earth does it. So somebody else doing it. Verse 15. And forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. So the Most High said that she'll bury the egg, the ostrich will bury the egg in the ground and forget where it buried it at, and will step on it and crush it, or leave it in the ground alone by itself and don't protect it, where the wild beast of the earth will come and break the egg, kill the baby, suck the yolk out of it. And so who does that? The Most High is comparing our women to ostriches, man. What do the so-called Hispanic and Native American and black women do? They leave their kid with somebody. Like I just told you, I see kids out here in the so-called ghetto every day, 5, 6, 7 years old, smoking weed. Little girls, 9, 10 years old, out there having sex. That's leaving your kids out there for the beast to crack their egg. You got grown men out there having sex with 9, 10, 11-year-old women. Look at R. Kelly. Because these women neglect their child. They left their kid out there for them. Look at these little men out there selling dope, carrying guns, becoming homosexuals. They take their kids, especially the Northern Kingdom, these so-called Hispanics, they take the kid and drop them off at the Catholic Church. And then what the priest do? The priest molest them, have sex with them, have them sucking his penis. I mean, you neglected your child. That's a curse from the Most High. And I call it the ostrich curse. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American women have the ostrich curse, man. The Most High put it on you. All right, let's keep going. And it says, I'm gonna read, okay, 16. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. So the words say that let me see. Read that again, verse 16. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain and without fear. So that means she don't have no concern for her children. You know what I'm saying? Her labor is in vain. That means she had that child in vain. She had that child for nothing. because she's not going to take care of it, and it doesn't even concern her. You know, man, I'm telling you, man, you women out there know what you do, and brothers like me know what they do, because I'm from the so-called hood. I see it. They leave the kids in the house all day by themselves to survive, to take care of themselves with oodle noodles and cereal and milk. I see it all the time, man. And so that's what the so-called black woman, Hispanic, American woman is. They got the ostrich disease, man. So if you see one and you see she not taking care of her child, you call her an ostrich. That's what she is. All right. Verse 17. Because Yahweh have deprived her of wisdom, neither had he imparted to her understanding. So she don't have the wisdom to know what she's doing or understand why she's doing what she's doing. She don't know why she's neglecting her children or had an understanding of it. It's because she's not calling on Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai, because you can't get to Yahweh unless you go through Yahweh Shai. She's not rehearsing these laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of her ability, you know, and she's running around being with different men. So that's a curse upon our nation, man. She's not respecting the men of her nation. All right, let's go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 59. 28:58. If thou wilt not observe to do all these words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh thy power, then Yahweh will make the plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, which is our children, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. So that's why over 500 years we've been suffering these plagues, man. That's why we're going through what we're going through. It's a plague that the Most High put on us. That's why you got high blood pressure, diabetes. That's why your ankles are swelling, your lower back giving out. You know, that's why you got arthritis, carpal tunnel. You know, that's why you got people got these boils and pus coming out of them on their face. And, you know, that's why your kidneys is failing, because you're not coming back to the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That's why your kids are gangsters and homosexuals and thugs, whatever you want to call them, man. You know, the real thug is the so-called white man, the red Hebrew Edomite. But he got our people acting just like him. But the key part on this verse, that we're going to get into this, the key part of this verse 59, no, this verse 58, let me read that again. He said, if thou do not observe to do all these words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name. See, the Most High said you got to fear his glorious and fearful name. And you can tell nobody, people always say they love the Most High, they blah, blah, they fear him and glorify his name or whatever. But nobody's rehearsing the law, statutes, commandments. The church says all the time, they celebrating Christmas. They about to do sunrise service, Easter service, rabbits. So, I mean, they worship pagan holidays. So how they serving the Most High? How they worshiping in his glorious name? They even calling Yahweh, they calling him by different names. They call him Jehovah. Yahweh, that's not his name. They calling the Messiah, Yahweh Shai, Jesus and Christ. Those are not their name. So they're not worshiping his glorious name. And the Bible would tell you his name if you got a King James. And that's why the Bible says, seek and ye shall find. You knock and he would open and coming down with you. You know what I'm saying? The Bible says, study to show thyself approved, rightly divide the word of truth. And we're going to rightly divide this name right here to show you what the name of the Most High is. All right, and it says, if thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh thy power. So let you know his name is Yahweh. All right, so let's go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus 3 and 6. Exodus 3 and 6. Let's see what this name is. Because he didn't give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob his real name. He gave him an Omen name. You know what I'm saying? Which was the Almighty. The power of the Almighty power. Which means a demon. In Hebrew, it means a demon-like power. That's what the Almighty mean if you didn't know. So what I say? Exodus 6:3. Okay, Exodus 6:3. It says, hold on, Salak, give me a second. One second. Let me get this out there. One second. All right, let's go into it. Okay, Exodus 6:3. It says, and I appeared, this is the Most High Yahweh talking, and I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, unto Jacob by the name of, it says God Almighty, but it should be like demon-like power. That's what it should be. But he said he appeared unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by the name of God Almighty. But then listen, but not by my name. So he said he didn't appear unto our forefathers by his name. He gave his name to Moses. He says that, but not by my name. And here, I'm going to show y'all something right quick. Give me a second. I'm going to have to close the book. And here, then it'll say, right here, it says, shit. It says Jehovah. But if you look over here in this yellow, you see the, I can't even pronounce the word now. Petratoni, I can't even pronounce the word name. But the, it's just, in Hebrew, that'll be Yahweh. But on here, they got Jehovah. They let you know that his name, they let you know they know his name. So I'm going to read it again. Exodus 6:3. And I appeared unto Abraham, Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty, but not by my name Jehovah, where I was not known to them. So the Tetragrammaton, that's what I meant to say. The Tetragrammaton, you can see that right there. They got it right there, which was Y8, which is Y, what is it? Which is YHWH, which in Hebrew is Yahweh. All right. So that's the, and they showing you that they know his name, man. And we're going to get into that right here a little deeper. Well, let me see something right quick. Let me go to, let's go to, let's go to Psalm 68, Psalm 68 and 4. Because they let you know that they see, these Edomites, these Red Hebrew Edomites know the name of the Most High. But the Bible said that these heathens can't say his name. So that's why they give you all these false names. And this wind blowing like a mug out here. What I say, Psalm 68 and 4? Let's go to Psalm 68 and 4. And then we'll go to the blue letter in a minute and look these names up and see what these names mean. Psalm 68 and 4. And it says, sing unto Yahweh, sing praises to his name, exhort him that rideth upon the heavens by his name. And then here it's going to say Jah, but we know that's not a J in the Hebrew. So in the Hebrew it really says Yah. So it said by his name Jah, and rejoice before him. So if you can look right here, Psalm 68 and 4, you know, it says Jah, but his name is, without that J, it'll say Yah, because there's no J in the Hebrew. The J was invented to, I think, 1634. So we're going to look that up right here in a second. But before I look that up, I want to go to 68. I want to go to Psalms 83. No, matter of fact, hold on. Let me look that up real quick. Let me go ahead and get that right quick. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, because we'll see if you can see it. Let me see. Psalms, I'm going to go to the blue letter. Psalm 68 and 4. I'm going to let you hear it. This is it right here in the blue letter, Psalm 68 and 4. It's a Hebrew word. And in here, and if you look in the blue letter, you'll see where they got the J, they got it as a Y. If you can see it. Okay, then I'm going to let you hear it.
Strong's H 3050. Yah. Yah.
So it's letting you know that his real name, part of his name is Yah. All right, now let's go see what the definition of this. It says, on here it says Jah, Jehovah in the shortened form, the proper name of the one true God or power, used in many compounds. So on here it's telling you that this is half of his real name, his proper name. Now we're going to go to Psalms 68. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it through here. Let's go to Psalms 80. Let me see. Let me go to Psalms 83. Because you got to have that name, man. You got to praise and worship that name, Yahweh. Psalms 83 and 16. Psalms 83 and 16 says, fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Yahweh. 17, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish. That men may know, verse 18, that men may know that thou whose name only, but hold on, verse 18, 83 and 18 Psalms, that men may know that thou whose name alone is Jehovah, and here it says Jehovah, but in the Hebrew it'll say Yahweh, are the most high over all the earth. All right, so now let's go in here and see what this is. Hold on. Let's go in here and see what this is, what this name is, Jehovah. And then it's a Hebrew word. I'm gonna let you hear it. Did it come up? Oh, it didn't come up. Hold on. You bugs out here, the wind blowing.
Strong's H 3068. Yehovah. Yehovah.
So they saying Yehovah, but it's Yahweh, cause ain't no e's in the Paleo Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? There's no vowels in the Paleo Hebrew, and it says the Jehovah, Yahovah, which is Yahweh. It say it means the existing one, but it really means he exists or he is. The proper name of the one true power or God, the one true God. See, it's all in there when you look it up, man. It's all in there. Everything you need to know, the Most High got out here. That's why he said in the end days that knowledge will increase. You know what I'm saying? And then he gave his spirit, you know what I'm saying, to his men, the prophet, only the Israelites. All right, let's go back. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find the alphabet. Let me see if I can find the Paleo Hebrew alphabet. Paleo Hebrew alphabet.
Here is some information about Paleo Hebrew alphabet.
Let me see if I can find it where you can see that it doesn't have no vowels in it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have E's and J's. Matter of fact, wow, there it go right there. Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. All right, let me pull it up. Let me see if you can be able to see it. All right, this is the Paleo Hebrew. And you see it doesn't have no E's, no J's, none of that garbage in there. So if you look up under the signs, it'll tell you what letter that is. So that's the Paleo Hebrew. That's how we know what the Most High name is. So this is the Paleo on top and the Syrian Hebrew on the bottom, which is what came after the Paleo Hebrew. And then Arabic came. So that let you know, man, you got to study, show thyself approved, man. You know, and that's what we do. And that's what we do up under our apostles and elders, a great millstone. All right, let's keep going. Verse 59, Deuteronomy 28:59. Then Yahweh will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. All right, verse 60. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. And we can see the plagues of Egypt going on in America, which is Babylon and spiritual Egypt today. You see all these, man, all these animals, these locusts, which is so-called grasshoppers coming, eating all the crops up, man. You see all these tornadoes, and you see all this rain. So it's earthquakes. So these are the plagues of Egypt, and America's been hit with it, man. See all these people dropping dead from measles and all these different sicknesses, man, that's going on, man. All these kids dying for crib death. You know, that's a lot of firstborns. That's the same thing went on in Egypt. All right, let's keep going. Verse 61. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will Yahweh bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. And the sicknesses and things that's not written in this law will be like cancer, HIV, diabetes, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of that didn't occur back then. So that's the sicknesses that's not written in here. That's going on today. High blood pressure, because they didn't have bleach salt. They had real salt back then. You know, they ate real food from the earth. So that's a lot of plagues that's going on over here in Babylon and America, in this spiritual Egypt. Verse 62. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as stars, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of Yahweh thy power. And so we was left in few, man. During the transatlantic slave trade, over 200 million so-called Negroes died on the way to the Americas. They say didn't make it to America, but they say about 12 million people, only 12 million of the slaves made it to America. 200 million of them, you know, was killed on the way to Americas, to the Americas or the surrounding islands, which is the West Indies and Haiti. And then we think about the natives of the land, which was the Northern Kingdom, with Hispanics and Native Americans. You know, over 200 million of them from Canada all the way to South America was put to death by the Spaniards. And the British, they was put to death too. Hell, Thanksgiving celebrate 77 million Native Americans, Hispanics been put to death. And then they had a meal for it the next day. That's what you celebrating on Thanksgiving. So we was left in few, and that was us. But now we begin to be fruitful and multiply like the Most High said. Now we having more children because the Most High is bringing the Israelites back into existence, because a lot of 2/3 of them got to be put to death by the second death, which is fire, these thermonuclear missiles. All right, verse 63. And it shall come to pass that as Yahweh rejoice over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. So the Most High rejoiced, he rejoiced over us, but to do us good. But once we went off, he took that same rejoicing and rejoiced over putting us to death, putting us into slavery, putting us into hell. That's where we at today. We in hell. This is literally the hell that we in. Only thing about this hell is that we don't have the thermonuclear fire, the lake of fire, which is the missiles, the IBM missiles. All right. He said to bring you to naught, which is what he did, which is nothing. All right, and we'll continue to read on. This is the same. This is 63 still, mid-sentence. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whether thou goest to possess it. So wherever we went, the Most High plucked us out of all those lands and put us in captivity. When we was in Israel, we took the land. We took Israel from who? The Canaanites. The Most High plucked us out that land and scattered us abroad. You know, which is a lot of it was the west coast of Africa. A lot of it was the west coast of Africa, the southern kingdom, within the over here in the so-called Americas, from Canada on down to South America, the Most High plucked the natives up out their land and sent them to Portuguese and Spain and different places. They try to get the Levites, Haitians, so-called Haitians out their land. That didn't work. They put that thing on them over there. They got some of them out there and sent them to France, up there into the European kingdom up there. So they did the same thing with the so-called West Indies, Jamaicans, Cuba. They plucked everybody up out of their land and took over their land. A lot of these people you see in these lands that's ruling these lands are so-called Edomites, man, because they raped out the women. Even when the Moors was ruling up in Scotland and Europe and Russia, these Edomites, these red Hebrew Edomites, so-called white men, came up out of the Caucasus Mountains. The Most High used them again to what? Pluck them up out of the land. He plucked us out of the west coast of Africa. So that's the Most High's doing, man. And let's get some precepts on that. Matter of fact, let's get let's go to Jeremiah 54 and 4. Matter of fact, use this phone. Jeremiah 54 and 4. Jeremiah. Hold on, I said 54 and 4. Jeremiah 45 and 4. Salakia. Jeremiah 45 and 4. And that reads, thus shalt thou say unto him, Yahweh said thus, Behold, that which I have built will I break down, and that which I have planted I will pluck up, even this whole land. So that was talking about when we was in Israel. We made it into Israel, but we went off. So the Most High plucked us out of the land, man, and sent us into the four corners of the earth. Even the northern kingdom, the Hispanics and Native Americans, when they got to this land, the Most High plucked them up and shipped them up to Portuguese, up into the European, up into the north, the Europe. All right, let's go to, Joel 3 and 6. Joel 3 and 6 says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye may remove them far from their borders. So we were sold unto the Grecians. Who is the Grecians? The Greeks, the so-called white man. So the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans were sold unto the red Hebrew Edomites, man. So because we were plucked up out our land. We was plucked up out the west coast of Africa. First, they plucked us out of Israel. We ran to the west coast of Africa. They plucked us out of the west coast of Africa and brought us to the Americans. And then they took the natives of this land, the Native Americans, which are your Hispanics, and plucked them up out this land and sent them up to Portuguese and to Spain, on up in the areas. So that's what the Most High did. That's part of that curse. Let's go back to Jeremiah 23 and 8. Jeremiah 23 and 8. And it reads, but Yahweh liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all the countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So what the Most High saying right here, at the end of the day, like right now, once Yahweh shall return, the Most High is going to pluck us back up out the lands that He driven us to as captives and take us back into our homelands. That's why He said out the land of the north. Where's the north? The north is who? The North Americas. That's the north. So the Most High said He's going to bring us back up out this land and take us back to our own land. It says, I'm going to read it again, Jeremiah 23 and 8. But Yahweh liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel, so that's all 12 tribes, out of the north country, which is the Americans, and from all the countries whether I had driven them, which would be up in Spain, Europe, South America, Canada, the Americas, Hades, and the West Indies and Jamaicans, all these countries where we was driven to, even over there in Afghanistan, you got Israelites over there, over in Iran, over in India. The Most High is going to bring us all the way, gather us all back up when Yahweh shall return and put us back in our land. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 28:64. And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy father have known, even wood and stone. And so that's what happened when we was ran out of our land, and when we were scooped up and sold into slavery. We began to serve other gods, even wood and stone. And we noticed that those other gods are what? Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam. That's those other gods. You get your stone from Buddhism and Islam, and you get your wood from the wooden cross of Christianity. So these are the other gods that our people are serving. Jesus is another God. That's not the Messiah's real name. Wasn't no J in the alphabet. His name is Yahweh Shai. You know, Muhammad is another God. Allah is a different God. Buddha is another God that our fathers did not know, that we are serving because we were brought into captivity. All right, and matter of fact, let's go to Leviticus 26 and 31. Leviticus 26 and 31. Leviticus 26, 31. It says, and I will make your cities waste, and bring your sanctuaries unto desolation, and I will not smell the savor of your sweet odors. So that means the Most High says he's going to make our cities waste. That means he's going to put us into captivity, into slavery. And he wasn't going to smell the savors of your sweet smell. That means he wasn't going to hear our prayers. Because, you know, most of the people don't even know his name anyway, so he's not hearing their prayers anyway. But he was saying he wasn't going to hear our prayers. Verse 32, and I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies which dwell therein shall be astonished at it. So the Most High, so the enemies are astonished that the Most High shipped us out of our land and allowed them to dwell in it. He says, verse 33, and I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. So the Most High says he's going to scatter us among the heathen. So that lets you know that we are scattered into the all kingdoms. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You Israelites, you scattered into the four corners of the earth, into all kingdoms. And in those kingdoms, he said he was going to allow them to draw out the sword against us. That's why we're getting killed and hung in the streets. You know, that's why they shooting us down. You know, that's why everybody that put us to death don't nobody get brought up for charges. That's why right now to this day, they're still hanging Negroes and the Native Americans off bridges, on trees. They're still doing that to this day. You know, verse 34. Then shall the land enjoy her Sabbath as long as it lieth desolate, and ye be in your enemy's land, even then shall the land rest and enjoy her service. So now let's go get some precepts unto what the Most High just said right here. Let's to show you that we were scattered into all these lands, and that's one of the precepts. And I got one more that'll go with that real well to show you that he scattered us into all our enemies. Matter of fact, let me see what he said. He said he scattered us into. Let's go back one more time. Leviticus 26 and 3. No, 26 and 30. 26 and 33, Leviticus. And I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out the sword among you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. So he scattered us amongst the heathens, that's the other nations. And he allowed them, he drawed out the sword, he allowed them to put us to death. So let's go to James, matter of fact, let's just go to James 1 and 1 on that. James 1 and 1. And then I'm going to read the other half of that, because I got something else to go with that too. James 1 and 1, it says, James, a servant of Yahweh, and of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. So James is letting you know that he's only writing to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. And we just read in Leviticus 26 and 33 that the Most High was going to scatter us amongst the heathens. So James is only writing this letter to us. That let you know this Bible, this word is only written to us, the whole thing. All right, let me read another part of this. Deuteronomy 28 and 66. I'm gonna start at 65 and go into 66. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. No, hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to 64 and go into 65. And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So that's those different religions that we in. Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, whatever you name it. Catholic, you name it, we in it. Our nation, the people are in it. Verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest, but Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. So what do you mean by he's gonna give us a trembling heart? Like right now, if you find a so-called Hispanic or Native American or so-called black man driving a car and the police get behind them, they panic. You know what I'm saying? They panic, man, because they know they can get put to death at any time. That it's no justice here for us. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, even if you live in, if a so-called black man, a Hispanic man, or Native American man live in an all Edomite neighborhood, man, you know, back in the days, they was burning crosses in our yard. They was hanging us. They was snatching us up. They was feeding our kids to alligators, you know, as gator bait. You know what I'm saying? They was raping our children. Even the Catholic Church is raping the Hispanics and the Native Americans, the Northern Kingdom. So, you know, that's a fell in the heart, man. You know, we'll put to death in these streets. Matter of fact, let's go to Zechariah 11 and 5. Zechariah 11 and 5. Let's go there. Zechariah 11 and 5. That's a good precept. Zechariah 11 and 5 says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. See, these are our possession, our possessors, because they brought us here in captivity. They brought us here on the slave ships. You know, took the land from the natives and Hispanics, and they still control it. And we're still here. We still under their authorities. So they still our possessors. It says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. Everybody that's putting us to death, these Edomites, nobody's getting found guilty. Everything is okay. Everybody getting a pat on the back. Great job. You got one. That's one less nigga you got to worry about. Or spit you got to worry about. Or wetback you got to worry about. All right, I'm going to continue on. And they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich. And their own shepherds pity them not. So, you know, even if they was selling us and making money off us, have us building this country for free, they was getting rich off us, and they was so-called blessing the Most High for allowing them to get rich off of selling us and molesting our and raping our children, and I mean, got us out there working for free. You know what I'm saying? So that's a part of that anguish that's in this city. That's a part of that curse that the Most High put upon us. Let's go to Revelations 11 and 8. He'll get another precept for that. Revelations 11 and 8. Revelations 11 and 8. And it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. We know the great city is what America. There's no nation in the world or no city greater in the world greater than the Americans. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. And that's twofold too, though. You know, that's a physical dead body, and we are spiritually dead, because we don't know who we are, and they got us in all these different religions, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism. So they got us in all these different religions instead of having us in our own culture, our own nationality. Instead of letting us know that we are the Hebrew Israelites that were scattered abroad. Midway, which spiritually is called Sodom and Gomorrah, where our Lord was crucified. And so we know that this is spiritually Sodom. Obama signed what? The gay right marriage, so they can legally get married, homosexuals. So, you know, Obama did that, which he's not our people. He's a so-called African from Kenya. His daddy's from Kenya. So he's not our people. He's not a Hebrew Israelite. He's a Hamite in spiritual Egypt. And we know this is Egypt. If you notice anything, every Every so-called house in America, you can't even build on top of it because it got what? They got the pyramid. It got the point on every house. And not only that, Washington D.C., is pretty much shaped like the god of Moloch. One of the Egyptian gods where they burnt children to, sacrificed children to, and burnt them to. And then on the back of their dollar bill, what they got? They got a pyramid, and they got all the Egyptian customs here in America. Virgin birth, Cyrus and Osiris. That's Egyptology. That came from Egypt. That virgin birth. Joseph was married. Was Yahweh Shah's father, his fleshly father. All right. So we're gonna. So let you know that, this Bible is talking about us, man. Let me see, verse 66. And their life shall hang in doubt. Deuteronomy 28:66. And their life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. And that's us, man. We fear day and night, man, and we don't have no assurance of our life. And so when you read in the Bible, and it's talking about what is Psalms 23, say, although I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. That's talking about the Americas, man. Because the Most High, it prophesied that we was going to be over here in captivity. So that's talking about the Americas. Although I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, our bodies are laying dead in the streets. This is the valley of the shadow of death. All the Native American blood is still in the ground crying out to the Most High. They slaughtered over 200 million of them on this land. They slaughtered 77 million and made Thanksgiving right afterwards. So when you eating Thanksgiving and you got that turkey up there with that golden skin, which represents the Native Americans, and then you got that cranberry, which represents their blood. You notice you only get that during Thanksgiving, because after the slaughter, they had a meal for it and gave thanks to it. That's why when we just read in Zechariah, and it says that they give thanks to the Most High for making them rich. Yeah, that's what they're talking about, man. So, and a matter of fact, you can go to Psalms 91 and 5, and it talk. Matter of fact, let's go there. Let's go to Psalms 91 and 5. So all that's a part of this curse, man. Psalms 91 and 5. And it says, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by day, nor for the arrows that flieth by night. And that was talking about in the land of Americas, the valley of the shadow of death. Once you start to call on Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, begin to rehearse these laws, statutes, commandments to the best of your ability, and keep your faith in Yahweh Shah, that he gonna be your deliverer, that the Most High is gonna let these angels encamp around you. That's why he said the angels encamp around those that fear the Most High Yahweh. All right, let's continue to go. All right, let's go to 67. Deuteronomy 28:67. In the morning thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were even. And at night thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were morning. For the fear of thy heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thy eyes which thou shalt see. So, I'm just going to say, if we had the Most High, if we was calling the Most High with him, we'll wish that the daytime was nighttime, so we wouldn't have to work through this hot, scorching sun for free. And at night, we wish that the nighttime was daytime, so we don't have to worry about getting chased down, hung, raped, slaughtered, and murdered. All right, verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. And we know that our ancestors didn't go into Egypt with ships. They walked into Egypt and walked out. So when Moses was talking about he's going to bring us into Egypt with ships, it was talking about spiritual Egypt, which is the Americas. And we came here on what? Cargo slave ships. The Native Americans, Hispanics left here and went to Portuguese and Spain and all that on so-called slave ships. By the way, whereby I spake unto thee, thou shalt see no more again. And that was our homeland. When Moses was telling us, and we ain't seen it yet, because we was all together, all 12 tribes. Really 13 tribes, because Dan was there too, but all 12 tribes. And there ye shall be sold. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondman and bondwoman, and no man shall buy you. So unless you know that we're going to be sold unto our enemies, and we were sold unto our enemies for slave man and slave woman. And that word buy means to redeem. Nobody redeemed us. Marcus Garvey couldn't do it. Martin Luther King couldn't do it. Nobody could do it because that's Yahweh Shah's job, the Messiah's job. All right, and I'm going to go to Daniel 9, Daniel 9 and 11, and I'm going to end this thing. Daniel 9, 11 through 14. I'm going to end this thing. Daniel 9 and 11. And it says, Yea, all Israel have transgressed by law, thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us in the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, because we have sinned against him. And we just read the law. So it was poured upon us. We went through these curses and still going through these curses because we want to do our own thing, serve other gods. We didn't want to rehearse the law, statutes, commandments. And we didn't want to be faithful to the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Verse 12, and he had confirmed his word, which he spake against us. He confirmed his word because everything he said happened. Everything we just read happened, and it's still happening to this day. And against our judges and against us, by bringing upon us a great evil. And this was the greatest evil in the world that was brought upon us. And the Most High allowed these very Israelites to do this to us because we went off. But once you come back in, he's going to fight for you. He says, for under the whole heaven, verse 12, mid-sentence, for under the whole heaven had not been done as had been done upon Jerusalem. So nobody is went through what you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, you 12 tribes of Hebrew, you 12 tribes of Israelites, Hebrew Israelites have been through. Nobody's went through what we went through under the whole heavens. Verse 13, as it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil is come upon us, yet may we not our prayer before Yahweh our power, that we might turn from our iniquity and understand our truth. So we still didn't, even though we was going through this, we still didn't call on the Most High and pray unto him that he take this off of us. We still didn't do that. But the Most High allowed us to go through this. Now he's raising his prophets up that you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans can come back into this truth, man, and be saved. Verse 14, therefore hath Yahweh watched upon the evil and brought it upon us. For Yahweh our power is righteous in all his works, which he doeth, for we obey not his voice. So everything the Most High Yahweh allowed to happen to us and did to us was righteous because we didn't obey his voice. The slaughter, the murder, robbery we went through, that was a righteous act of the Most High because we didn't obey his voice. Now it's time to come back to him, begin to rehearse these laws, statutes, commandments, and build your faith in Yahweh Shah that you may be delivered. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end with that. So I just want to say shalom to, these bugs everywhere, man. So I just want to start off, I'm going to say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Call Allah Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashim Rakar Kwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to you 1/3 and elect of Yashael out there. Shalom.